Singapore is known to be a very well-planned city, and we have a very strong heritage of urban planning. It takes its roots from colonial urban planning in British India, particularly in the cities of Calcutta and Madras. This is known as the Jackson Plan. It was named after Lieutenant Philip Jackson, who was probably the first engineer and land surveyor in the colony of Singapore at the time. This was drawn up in 1822 originally, and it was commissioned by Stamford Raffles himself. There were two features of the urban plan in the cities of British India. The first feature was that the city was organized according to land use. Different pockets of Singapore are organized according to whether they are residential or commercial or civic. You can see at the center of the map there is an area marked out by an open square. This, of course, is the civic heart of the city. Today, of course, we know it as the Padang. And then, as now, it continues to be flanked by these monumental colonial-era buildings. So just across the river from the civic area is the commercial center of Singapore town. Here we had the banking and the trading quarter. This we know today as Raffles Place, but it was known as Commercial Square before. This also is where you had the market. It was known as the Crawford market in those days, but today we know it as Lau Pa Sat or Teluk Ayer market. Another feature of these cities of British India was a fort. North of the civic centre, a fort would eventually be established. This fort is known as Fort Canning Hill today, although in the plan you'll see that it's just known as Singapore Hill. The other important aspect of planning was how the cities were often also segregated by race. It actually organized the various ethnic communities in Singapore into their own kampongs or quarters. If you go from left to right in this plan, and if you look at the map of Singapore today, you will see that you go from Chinatown or the Teluk Ayer area. To the east is Bras Basah and Bugis areas, which was where the Europeans would have settled. And so you get some very important institutions that were established here. There was the Raffles Museum. There were a whole bunch of churches, including the Cathedral of the Good Shepherd, the Church of St. Peter and Paul, and you also got the Raffles Hotel. And then at the very end of this historic core of downtown Singapore is Kampung Glam. This is where the local populations was actually settled, where the Malay communities lived. It was the area that had at its heart the palace compound of the Sultan of Johor and a mosque that accompanied the palace compound. What makes this plan so amazing is it still pretty much describes how the center of Singapore is organized today. To me, it represents Singapore at its very essence, a sort of cosmopolitan port city where all the world's religions and peoples came to find a home and to find opportunity.